Ever feel like when you're trying to make money on YouTube, it's kind of like, walking through a maze, but
It's
blindfolded?
going over.
Well, today we're ditching the blindfold because we're doing a deep dive specifically on your channel, Duranda J, and we're going to try to map out how to get you monetized.
Absolutely.
So we've got all these resources, right? All this advice from these experts, script templates, optimization strategies.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a ton of advice out there. So we're going to focus on what matters most for Derringer.
For you.
Right. So you can start bringing in that ad revenue.
Okay, so imagine this. You're building this skyscraper. You wouldn't start with the penthouse, would you? You've got to build a solid foundation first.
Of course, yeah.
And guess what? There are two things that came up over and over again in all this research we did that are pure foundation. It's those subscriber and watch hour requirements, those YouTube partner program requirements, the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. You've got to hit those.
Right. And they have that for a reason, right? It's like YouTube saying, hey, prove to us that you've got something people want to watch.
Well,
And those numbers show that you're building momentum. And that's what brings in the advertisers, right? But it's not all about hitting those numbers.
exactly. Yeah, it's like trying to build that skyscraper, but with I don't know, cardboard or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might stand for a little bit, but eventually.
It all comes crashing down. So we want to make sure that your channel is, built to last. We found some good stuff for you, like this thing from WordTune. They're known for their writing tools, but they have this really cool script template.
Okay.
And what I thought was really interesting is how much they emphasize hooking those viewers right from the very first,
Oh, yeah.
first few seconds.
It's huge. Those first few seconds, they're make or break.
Absolutely.
What I found really interesting was they broke down what actually makes a hook effective for YouTube. And it's not just, being super loud or flashy or, in your face. It's more about tapping into what your audience actually wants, what they need, their pain points, what they desire. It's like making them a promise, whispering to them, keep watching because I've got what you need.
It's true. And in Darren, this is where understanding your unique selling proposition or USP comes into play.
Yes.
What makes your channel stand out? What can you offer to viewers that they won't find anywhere else?
Yeah, it's about figuring out that special something you've got. You know what I mean? And then weaving that into your hook. Now, something else that this WordTune template talked about was visual engagement. Because I don't know anybody who wants to watch a talking head for hours.
No, it's way too boring.
Yeah, no one's trying to watch a documentary about your face.
Right, you got to spice it up.
Exactly.
You want to keep people engaged.
Yeah.
Think about dynamic editing, B-roll footage, graphics.
Okay, so we've got a killer hook. We've got visuals that will, blow people's minds. But how do we actually get eyes on your videos in the first place? And that's where keywords come in, right?
That's right.
Now, one of the sources we looked at, they broke down keywords into these two categories, primary and secondary. And I got to say, it sounded really complicated at first.
Yeah, a little bit.
What are we talking about here?
Well, imagine that you're, at a farmer's market and you're selling homemade apple pies. Your primary keyword is the big sign that just says apple pies. It's the main attraction,
Okay.
And then your secondary keywords are the little signs you have that say grandma's secret recipe or made with organic apples or something like that. They're more specific. They're more enticing. They attract the people who are I don't know, really looking for something special.
Okay. So basically, in the world of YouTube, primary keywords get you showing up in those more general searches, and those secondary keywords, they narrow your audience down to people who are looking for the exact kind of content that you make.
Like a magnet.
Yeah,
for viewers.
exactly.
So it's pulling in the right people. And speaking of tools, this source also mentioned TubeBuddy, vidIQ, Morning Fame. These all sound like tools that I would use if I was I don't know, fighting Darth Vader or something.
Yeah, they sound pretty intense,
makes
right?
you feel?
But they're like your sidekicks, your trusty sidekicks in the YouTube game.
I like that. I like that a lot.
These tools can help you research which keywords are best for your niche. They can help you analyze what your competitors are doing, and they even give you suggestions for your titles and descriptions to make them better. Oh, wow. So it's kind of like, how we were saying it's like walking through a maze blindfolded?
Yeah.
This is like having someone there giving you directions and holding a flashlight.
Yeah, exactly. But Duranitage, just remember, just you wouldn't, I don't know, use a chainsaw to cut your vegetables.
Right. Yeah,
You don't need every single tool out there.
that's true.
Pick one or two to start with that you think will really work for you. and see what happens.
You can always add more later, but it's good to just get started.
Exactly, exactly. Work smarter, not harder. Right.
Work smarter, not harder. I love that. But with all this talk about, keywords and these tools and everything, it's easy to get lost in all the technical stuff.
Mm.
But then I found this other piece of advice, and it really stood out. It was like advice just for you during days, like straight up mentor advice. Yeah. And then this advice was all about the long game. It
Yeah.
wasn't about, doing some quick trick to try to game the system. It was about building something that lasts.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's so interesting about this particular piece of advice, right?
Yeah.
It emphasizes building something for the long term.
They were really focused on authenticity
Absolutely.
and being genuine
Yeah.
and building a real connection with the audience.
Well, you know how the saying goes, right? People buy from people they like and trust.
Yeah.
And that's especially true online.
That's very true.
This source really emphasized staying away from clickbait titles or misleading thumbnails or anything that isn't genuine, basically.
Right, because that stuff might get you views for like a day or two,
Yeah,
but in the long run,
yeah.
not a good look.
You lose that trust.
Exactly.
It's like if you go to your favorite restaurant and you order your favorite dish and it's just awful.
The worst.
Yeah.
And it happens.
It's like, are you going to go back there?
Probably not. Not for a while, at least.
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
And building a community on YouTube is the exact same way. You need to deliver what you promise. You need to give people something they actually want, and you need to do that every single time.
And be yourself. you know.
Yeah,
People can spot a fake from a mile away.
absolutely.
When you really focus on giving people what they want, the watch hours and the subscribers will come.
Yeah,
People are going to watch if they like what you make.
they'll stick around.
Exactly. So we've covered, the hook and how important the visuals are and using keywords the right way and how important it is to, be authentic and build a relationship with your audience. Are you ready to add another layer to this monetization cake?
I think I am. Let's do it.
Okay, let's talk about data. Data sounds kind of like, I don't know, scary, right? Like something that only, those super genius computer people understand.
Yeah, I hear you. But it's honestly not as complicated as you think. Think of data as like your secret weapon, Durandage. It tells you what's going on in your viewers' minds. Like, it reveals what they love about your stuff, what they skip, and why they watch your videos more than once.
Okay, so instead of just guessing what works and what doesn't work, we can actually use data to make smarter choices about our content.
Exactly. Like, remember how we were talking about hooks? Data can actually tell you this hook worked, this one didn't. And then you can use that to make even better content.
So it's like having a conversation with your audience, even when they aren't, commenting or anything.
Yeah. You're basically listening in on what they're saying with their views. Like, how long are they watching? Are they clicking on anything?
Yeah.
You can use that information to make videos they like even more.
And that's where the magic really happens, right? When your content really clicks with what people want, that's when you start seeing those watch hours and subscribers go up.
That's right. And all of this stuff we're talking about, it all comes back to one thing that every single one of these experts mentioned. Monetizing your channel. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a journey.
Yeah, there's no finish line, really.
Exactly. You're always learning. You're always growing. Just when you think you've got it figured out, something changes.
Exactly. It's kind of like, I don't know, gardening. You plant the seeds, right? That's your content. And you water them. That's engaging with your audience. And you nurture them, That's analyzing the data.
I like that.
And just like a garden, your channel, it's got seasons. Sometimes things are booming, and other times it's a little quieter.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
But if you're patient and you don't give up and you really love what you're doing, it'll all work out.
It will. You've just got to keep at it.
You build a successful YouTube channel and, who knows, you might even make some money along the way.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about hooks, visuals, keywords, building a community, looking at your data. What else is there?
There's one more thing. And honestly, it's the most important thing when it comes to YouTube. And I'm sure you've heard this before, Durinder, but you've got to be having fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If you're not enjoying it, what's the point?
Exactly. Because if you're not having fun, it's going to show,
Totally. People can tell when you're not being genuine, I think.
And it's going to be harder to stick with it.
Yeah.
Because it is work. I mean, it's fun, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And there are ups and downs.
It's a grind sometimes, for sure.
It is. But, when you love what you're doing and you're truly passionate about it, it doesn't really feel like work.
That's when the magic happens.
Yeah. So keep making those awesome videos at Durandar. Keep learning, keep experimenting, and most importantly, have a blast while you're doing it.
Could not agree more. Well, that's about all the time we have. But honestly, if we talked about this stuff for another 3 hours, I bet you would just scratch the surface.
Yeah, probably. There's so much to say about YouTube.
There really is. It's a whole world. But this was fun, and hopefully you found it helpful. There and Dish,
Absolutely.
keep creating, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.